Welcome to Minneapolis by night. This is going to be a mage side scene for Lancelot, uh, following up on their second incursion into the power plant. He has some trophies, so to speak, and he's pondering what to do with them. It's been a couple nights, so he's had time to maybe do some cursory browsing around the city, and now has some leads he wants to follow up on.
So Lancelot will be calling Armor to try to see if another person who follows the kind of like more archaic wonders, can help him out.
Armor's and you would have Armor's cell contact. Otherwise, he's available in person, either at his workshop or at his church.
Sure.
So
I'll just call him on the phone while I'm going through the city.
And he'll pick up. He was kind of knows who you are because he, had heard you were in the area.
Hey, bro.
He said, "Good evening. This is Lancelot, I believe."
Oh yeah. So could I ask you like a couple questions?
He says, "Absolutely. I can do what I can to aid anyone who seeks knowledge."
So, I heard from the word on the street, from some other mages and stuff, that there's some people or a dude, I'm not quite sure, if it's a group or a guy or a girl or whatever, that kind of work with magic, to form wonders that are more of the old variety. I'm not really up to date. I like my armor, I like my shield, my sword, and I have a couple pieces of a dragon that I helped slay that I kind of want to, see if they can help me forge into wonders.
He says, "Well, I know most of my sword and armor come from the church. They're older pieces, but I do know that there are some who do that sort of work in the city. If you're looking for something more traditional, I assume you don't want to talk to Solus. His
No,
might be a little too modern for your
yeah,
tastes.
that that doesn't really fit me or my resonance.
And that's something I absolutely understand. Probably would run into the same boat with the Etherites,
Yeah.
unless you're looking to make like some Tesla armor or something.
No, 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 it's not me.
But I don't know. There's someone that we kind of are aware of, but we've never really interacted with. Um, but he actually makes a living on the side doing like recreation medieval armors and stuff, and they're sold as like LARP armors or that sort of thing. But I've actually seen some of his works, and they're period authentic, if not improvements on the original designs.
Oh, great.
And certainly the quality of work and the way things his work is done leads me to believe that there's something that he's some sort of mage. But again, I don't know what level of interaction. He hasn't talked to any of us as mages in the city, but I know of him. I know the name of his company, and I know I've visited his website, so I have the address and such.
All right, man, can you hook me up?
He says absolutely. The individual in question goes by the name of Waylon Miller, and he runs Creative Ironworks. The address is in a residential neighborhood, but it's a double lot, and there's a pretty good sized garage workshop there. So I assume that's where he does his work out of. So it's probably his residence as well.
All right, sweet. Thanks.
If you speak with him, and you're able to establish some sort of relationship, we'd certainly be interested in having him put in contact with the council. So If you can, if you're talking to him and that capacity comes up, that's certainly something we're interested in. We don't have many traditionalists who can do that sort of work. So you're welcome to at least extend the invitation on my behalf.
All right, man. Sounds good. So I will trudge on out there.
All right, and it's on the kind of the more rural area of the city. It's definitely it's urban neighbor, or it's more of a residential neighborhood.
Sure.
So
So like I'll first go up to the front door. I don't know if he's in his workshop or whatever, but I'll just knock on the door.
okay, and you get there and it's pretty obvious the garage is there's a lot of um like steel sculptures and stuff in the front yard that look like they've been done with reclaimed scrap. And the sign over the door that's made out of reclaimed scrap is says Creative Ironworks.
Sweet.
And when you knock on the door, he answers rather quickly, but you can tell if he wasn't working yet, he was at least prepared to,
Hmm.
because he's in his gear. Um, Inside, behind him you can see a couple suits of armor, that sort of thing. You would guess probably pieces he did himself.
What?
Yeah, what can I do for you?
Um, and he'll like look around, he'll like look back and forth. So like I heard that the word on the street is like you might be a mage and could help me out with some stuff.
He kind of looks around and he motions for you towards his workshop, and he says, "Well, yeah, if you're interested in some recreation armor or something, certainly I can be of assistance." And
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so I'll like go over, I guess, and walk into his workshop.
you can tell he's kind of trying to be discreet,
Mm-hmm.
but he leads you in there, and when he gets inside, he says, "You'll have to forgive me. There's when you live in a modern neighborhood, you run the risk of dealing with those who perhaps have different ideas.
Oh man, I totally get it.
So I try to keep the will working to a minimum, so keep people from noticing, and prefer to try and make it look as every day as I'm just a hobby guy with a welder and an anvil.
And he'll nod.
But I'm venturing a guess, given the fact that you knocked on my door and asked for work, that you're not with the technos, because they don't generally knock quite so politely.
Yeah, that's definitely not my music style. I'm more into, hems and shit.
Well, that's faith has its place in everything we do.
So, my reason for coming is like twofold. First, um, the council has wanted to give you, your freedom and not wanted to, try to push you to do anything. But we do want to extend the olive branch and let you know that if you wanted to come in, that we would definitely love to have you. And secondly, I killed a dragon, so I have some pieces that we may be able to like work together to do something awesome with.
Yeah, he kind of looks at you and he says, "Well, I gotta be honest. That's two firsts for me. One is we've got a traditionalist talking civilly to me and inviting me to a meeting, and two, I'm talking to a dragon slayer.
Oh yeah, man, it's no big deal. I'm Lancelot.
He kind of looks at you and raises an eyebrow a little bit, and he goes, "Makes a bit more sense." He says, "Well, what can I guess what are you looking to make? Do you have any ideas? What tools do we have to work with?"
Lancelot will reach into his bag, and he'll pull out he's carrying like a really big bag, like almost like a Santa Claus sack, and he
Okay.
pulls out of the Santa Claus sack the head of the dragon.
He says, "All right, well, you can got some options there, plenty of material to work with."
Yeah, I was thinking maybe like could we work it into like a helmet that might, help me in battle?
He says, "Well, I'm sure we can do. I mean, the helmet itself is will be relatively easy. It depends what other aids you want on it."
That's a good question. Um, Maybe if it like aids me in defense and then has like an ability to uh like maybe it came from the spirit realm, so maybe like the ability to see into like the spirit realm or other realms.
He says, "Well, I that's certainly an option. It's something I'm familiar with."
And then he'll say, okay, and the second part of this, here's what I'm offering. Um, you help me, like you make me another wonder that you feel would suit a knight like me. And let me show you first. And then like he'll go into his full regalia, his armor and his shield and his sword. These are what I currently have, and then Lancelot will describe their properties. So you build me another one, and what I'll do is give you this. And he pulls out the core of the dragon, essentially, like, the dragon heart. And he's like, this you should be able to meld into your forge to be able to give you like super energized heat and fire to help you forge magic weapons because the energy will be innately magical.
Yeah, he says that's certainly a rich offer, and I think we can do a lot with it. Um, if you're just looking for an aid in battle, I can put some things together. It will take me a bit of time. I guess it depends too what level of involvement you want to have. If you just want me to craft it, or if you want to be involved in the process.
I mean, I'm definitely willing to help. I am uh, fairly adept at using forces and primes, so I'm sure I could help mold the energy for you and imbue it with with more power.
Well, that's something we could consider. I have found myself of late to have a unique advantage ever since the energies that ran rampant through the city. I've had more to work with here at my forge, but certainly having someone to aid in that, even if it simply speeds the process, because I can focus on the craft work itself.
Oh yeah, man, I'm definitely got your back. I'm kind of new to the city anyway, so like I don't have a lot of responsibilities, so like I could totally help you do stuff.
Well, I mean, certainly we can start with the this process and decide where we want to go from there.
Yeah.
But if it's something that you find you're passionate about, there aren't many that take the effort to learn the craft. I'm more than willing to teach.
Yeah, I mean I'm willing to look into that. Yeah, you know, I like to try to keep myself still in the past. You know, I was born in the present, but my story and my soul is connected to the past, and so you know, I have to find a way to to keep the values of the old and still move forward. You know.
Yeah, he chuckles and gestures around his shop and he says, I understand exactly what you're speaking of. And you can see he's got like a traditional like forge, hand pump forge with an anvil. And then on the other side, he's got what looks to be like a motorized, fueled forge that's been automated. There's power grinding wheels, welders. And he says, there's something to be said for traditionalism, but we also must acknowledge that the world moves on. And
Yeah.
we can accept that and try and bring with us those things that are important to us, or we can get left behind and lost.
And then Lancelot will kind of solemnly nod.
He says that if it's just a forging of a helm, that the helm itself can be crafted right. That we can start on that immediately and work whatever uh, beneficial parts into it as we go.
He nods again. Hey man, it sounds good to me.
He says, "Well, give me a few minutes to get my forge operational here, get everything fired up for the day, and we'll start working with what you've got. We'll have to obviously clean it, get it prepped, and then we'll have to potentially use some other materials to give it a little extra structure and padding, get it fitted to you."
He nods. He's like, I don't really know about forging, but that all seems like right. So I'll help you out. Like, you just tell me what you want me to start doing.
Well, he starts loading up the traditional forge, and then he fires up the other one. You can actually see the other one has looks like it runs on diesel, so he's
Okay.
obviously comfortable with some of the more modern stuff.
I'm sure we could figure out a way to put this dragon core in too.
Well, I'm sure I could find a way to work it in. That's certainly true. I didn't want to impose, however, that's payment for work done, and the work hasn't been completed yet.
He's like, whatever, man. Like, if the work doesn't pan out, then it just doesn't pan out. You know, as a fellow person who is trying to live in two different times, I feel like either way, like you having the core is the right thing to do with it.
He nods and he takes it over to his uh, traditional forge and starts working with it. And he says, as he does, he kind of motions to the corner and he says, "There's a beer in the fridge if you'd like to help yourself."
Oh yeah, sure. And like he'll go over and he'll pop open a beer.
You can in the back corner, he's got like a classic car, couple of classic cars parked in the back under tarps and stuff too. Um, so and he takes the time, gets that basically dragon heart bound into his forge, and then starts working. Give me a perception alertness.
Okay. That is like 6 dice for me. I can't roll.
Oh, that's right. All right, 3 successes. You notice that the tools he pulls out, um, he's obviously taken the time to get very well crafted tools, and he starts kind of cleaning this dragon head, kind of skinning the hide off it, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Working with this set of knives that look like they're some sort of folded or wavy steel.
That's
And as he does, he starts kind of humming under his breath and chanting a little bit.
sweet.
Um,
I'll like get some pliers to clip the wires out of the head and stuff.
okay. And he asked, well, obviously, if you're here representing the council as well, you're a traditionalist. Do you mind my asking what particular tradition you follow?
Oh, yeah, like that's no problem. Like I said, kind of more of a hymnals guy.
He he chuckles and he said, "If my if my mentor could see me now." He says, "I was uh, educated by a gentleman from the Middle East, and we always called him the Vizier, but I was instructed in traditional Eastern Arabic methods, and here I am crafting a helm from a dragon for a Christian knight."
Yeah, sorry, bro.
He said, "Well, that's the world moves on, as we said.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, the stereotypes and the blindnesses that we held beforehand in days past don't serve us well, so they must be discarded."
For sure. The order of reason. And then he goes, technocrats. Yeah, they are far less divided than we are.
Well, they have established their own consensus and do not let artificial barriers hinder that. They're a strictly intellectual union, whereas we rely more on intangible systems of beliefs, uh, systems that are often more delineated.
Yeah.
Admittedly, very few people expect to see me when I walk into a mosque. I'm a fairly large, well built Caucasian male. I don't fit a stereotype. So we've delineated. We take our belief systems and try and correlate them to artificial restrictions, and that divides us.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, I totally get that for sure. I mean, when I first came out, man, the mages of the area were like, man, what are we going to do with this useless surfer dude? And then they were totally all like, oh, man, I'm really glad we had this guy to fucking protect us from a fucking dragon. You can't be held back by, the stereotypes that people want to assign you.
Well, that's true, and I can admittedly see that there are some common stereotypes affixed to those who lead that lifestyle, and again, we pick up on an accent or a particular phrase or language, and we immediately alienate and separate and try and judge. That's part of why I've remained separate from the council. My instruction is atypical. I come from an atypical group of crafters that are not common, and it was easier to avoid judgment.
Yeah, man, but it's still sad to me, like sure there's always going to be judgment with any group you deal with, and but we we have a duty to not let the spark of creativity and wonder leave this world, and we just can't seem to get our shit together And the technocrats just keep chewing up pieces of land bit by bit, making their consensus the reality, you know? I just, I can't stomach it, man.
Well, they have a unity of purpose and unity of belief that we haven't been able to find.
Yeah. We can't
And
even find
that's
a bathroom, much less fucking unity.
well, that's true. We have so many different ways of viewing what we do, and they're so foreign to one another. And the idea of accepting that someone else's method might be equally valid is strange. Whereas for them, the idea that machinery and science explains all of it is a unified single theory.
No, yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I am probably not like a lot of my brethren. I'm pretty accepting that other ways can be right for someone else, you know? Like, I took that whole Jesus Christ thing pretty seriously, and like, you know, he is the one true light and the way for me, but you know, he also wants us to be accepting of our brethren, and that the only way that we can get people to join us is through acceptance and being our own vegan. You know, like, so Fix likes his hoodoo stuff, man. That's cool. Like, that's what he does. He does the hoodoo, and that's cool because that was helpful to us. That's not my way. I can't I can't, you know, align that way with my paradigm, but I understand that what he does helps the greater good.
And so that's a far more pragmatic and open-minded process than viewpoint than I had seen in past interactions with traditionalists. And you do yourself credit for your willingness to step back and approach it that way. I will certainly at least meet with your council and commune with them. Whether we can come to an agreement will remain up to them as well. But if they're willing and open-minded as you are, then perhaps something can be arranged.
Yeah, well, the guy that I go through, he's a pretty great guy. So I don't think you'll find as much resistance there. I don't know for sure. I'm new and I'm pretty much low man on the totem pole, which is just like what it is. I accept that. However, when I came out here, he's the one who offered, you know, the olive branch. He told me, go out there, you know, see if you can get the guy to come and just like talk to us at least. And I was like, hey, sure, like I'll throw it up.
Yeah, he says, well, I appreciate that, and as I said, I'm certainly willing to commune with him. I he pulls out a card and he says, "Here's my number. Have him contact me, and I'll meet and discuss with him. Um, but I will, regardless of what end is reached, you're certainly welcome here. Whether it's just a visit, just to come and hang out and chat, have a beer. You know, if you decide you want to learn to work the crafts like I do, I'm willing to teach that as well. But it is enjoyable to be able to talk openly with someone."
Oh yeah, man. I spent a lot of time by myself on the road, so I know what it's like.
he kind of moves over to the forge, starts working working with some of the pieces actually that he kind of cleaned out, getting them
Mm-hmm.
melted down. Um, and he kind of says, that even in any craft, there's never true waste, simply materials that can be repurposed at a later date. So in this case, we will weave what is already there into a new form.
He'll not.
He he gets them kind of worked down, and then he comes over with a tape measure, and he says, "Now, assuming you will be wearing this for in battle, I want to ensure that we have it measured properly. I don't want to inhibit your abilities either."
Well, here is the thing. You should know. Sorry, didn't notice I cut out. Where did I stop talking?
I lost you right after something about here's the thing you should know.
Oh,
So,
all right.
so literally everything.
Here's the thing you should know. This is another wonder I have, and it makes all of my armor, and any of the regular stuff that I wear on me, it turns it so that it looks like mundane items, and it makes everything like almost weightless. So everything will be relatively light on me, so we don't have to worry about um, skimming down the armor for weight, more for flexibility. So as long as it has good flex, it can still have a decent amount of weight on it, and it won't be a problem. Bonus, right?
Well, that's certainly a benefit. My concern, of course, was more things like obstructed visibility.
Oh
Um,
yeah, 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 for sure.
I don't want to detract from that. Um, but we can look at some additional benefits there.
Yeah, and he kind of nods solemnly, like, you're the expert here. I'm just like filling you in on what my stuff is like.
Well, it's beneficial to know, certainly.
Yeah, man.
And
You just tell me what you want me to do, and I will back you up.
yeah, as you kind of go over and says, well, the hardest part, the thing that will give us the best quality here as we join these is going to be um, consistency in our heat and in our conditions. And I've worked with some other madesmiths in the past that prefer to use direct applications, so they will manipulate the flames themselves to get the heat they want. But I found that that's disrupts the flow of whatever else we're trying to work into our piece. So I prefer to
Okay.
use traditional methods. Hence why I have a hand operated bellows on my forge. Now, if I'm by
Okay.
myself, I can work that bellows, but I'm back and forth and I don't get the consistent heat. He said, so what I need from you is just to maintain that bellows while I do the actual craft work, joining of the metals and such.
All right, man. Yeah, I'm not pushy. Working the bells is good. Help me work on my fitness.
It's certainly a workout. And
He'll
then
go put himself by the bellows, and he's like, "Hey, man, whenever you're ready, so am I."
he says, well, I'll get started and we'll get you to a regular rhythm and just have you maintain that. So
All right. And
I
so
will
like he'll
need
he'll he'll just start pumping and trying
okay.
to like find what a steady rhythm will be.
Yeah, and he gives you some guidance, to find the right rhythm. And he says he recognizes it might be tough. If you do end up needing a break, let him know that's
Okay.
better than trying to push it and have conditions not be what you're looking for.
Yeah.
He will get to work as well. Um, and you see he's got like clamps and forceps he's using to join. He's actually doing like a old school traditional welding as well, that he's using um, some of those pieces that he fabricated from the scrap material. He's actually heating that up and using that to join the two. Um, Give me a stamina and athletics roll.
Okay. That is once again 6 dice.
Yeah, and you're able to handle yourself pretty well. Keep on rolling, and he as he's working, he's got and it seems to come almost naturally to him. You can see the way the pieces of raw material seem to just fit for him. So he gets, starts working it, getting it put together. Um, and then as you get towards the end, that's when he starts again, kind of some Middle Eastern chanting a little bit. Um, and you actually see um, what looked basically like fire elementals within the forge.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see like a traditional Eastern genies that seem to almost be crafting this thing right along with him. And give me another stamina and athletics.
Okay. 6 dice, but I'll rip a will for this one.
Okay. Good thing you
Good
did
thing I
too.
ripped the will.
Uh, and you're actually getting a little warm and a little tired. This, considering it's just a bellows, you're discovering it's a little more work than you anticipated, but you're able to at least stay on it and maintain that rhythm.
Yeah.
And eventually, he kind of signals for you to stop. And
Sweat's like pouring off him. He's like, "Whoa, dude, that workout's fucking intense."
he turns and takes the piece with him and goes over and kind of looks around, looks at you, and ends up kind of nods to himself, and you see him dunk it between a couple of barrels to
Mm-hmm.
quench it. And then he turns back to you and he says, I took perhaps some liberties in the actual craft of the piece, um, but they seemed appropriate at the time. So I hope you find them to be beneficial.
He will nod and say, "Hey, man, you are like I'm mastering your craft, and I am not so pompous to think that like you wouldn't know what's best. So I totally will take any, you know, advice or, artistic vision and cherish it.
And that's actually the what the helm looks like he hands you.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, he says you'll have to, certainly just trying it on would be beneficial, but you'll have to let him know once you've used it in battle to decide what you think of it.
He puts on the helmet. It fits good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wait, sweet. He's like, yeah. He'll like knock on a little bit. Looks sweet. Yeah. And he'll then like meld it into another clothing item. And now he's wearing one of those like goofy, uh, hats that go over your ears and have the tassels that go off them.
Okay. Sure. It's kind of almost like a felt dreadlocks type thing.
Yeah, kind of like that.
And he nods and says, certainly the core did not hurt in that process, but I'll be curious to hear back from you in the future and see what you think.
All right, man. That's cool. I'm pretty wore out, so like I could come work with you again another day, like on the other item, or like if you have other stuff that you're like backed up on and want to do stuff with, like I totally don't mind coming and helping out.
That's a possibility. I think this core might help already, but I'm always interested in the company as well. And I who knows, perhaps you might also be able to assist me in moving some of the pieces that I've made on my own.
Sorry, I didn't see perhaps. What did he say after perhaps?
That you might be able to help him move the pieces that he's crafted on his own. That he's got mundane works as well as other minor wonders that he doesn't have a good way to sell because he just sells online.
Oh yeah, totally. Like if you wanna like shoot me what a few of them do, I'll totally talk to some of the other mages.
He says I'll get some write ups put together and get you a file.
Dude, that's sweet. Yeah, that's totally awesome. Cause like right now, the only people that they have is like, and they're not necessarily bad people, but one of them was a former technocrat, right? So he kind of deals it like that, and then there's like the Aetherites. So
Yeah, and they're have different again back to the different viewpoints. They see the world differently and interact with it differently, and that can be difficult for us as well.
yeah, man, like it's divine intervention that you were put here, and I was able to like meet you because like I don't think I could handle like working with that stuff. That's just like I think it would funk up my magic.
Well, it is extremely difficult to work with someone else's beliefs and have them operate for you. I've done it in the past, and it is trying at best,
Yeah.
even if there is some relationship there. He says, "You ever try explaining to an alchemist that you just need more fire to?" And they're convinced that the way to get a pure metal is through their alchemy. When I work with a hammer and a forge, and I quench and I fold and that's how I get a better metal.
Sure.
Not that their way is wrong, but it's a lot harder for me to accomplish.
Oh yeah.
So
That's why I'm hopefully going to be able to talk to the guy in charge of the choristers and see if he has any life. because I think our stuff kind of lines up more, and I don't think I could learn the way the other dudes do.
Well, that's you know, like I said, I'm open to doing business as long as we're all on the same page and we can be amenable to one another. So I appreciate you stopping over. Certainly, I'm happy to do the work.
Hey man, it's good to find out that you're so agreeable. Like I was wondering why you hadn't been like asked over before, and I guess it's just because some of the others are kind of stuck in their ways. And then like I don't think that Armor I would definitely not say he was afraid to come meet you, but I think that he maybe didn't know, you know, he's a he didn't want to come over and it seemed like an attack, like that they were coming and you needed to come see them or whatever. So I'm kind of more laid back and I'm, like I don't know. I'm pretty accepting, so it's probably why he wanted me to come say something first.
Well, that's a possibility. I don't pretend to understand others' methods, but certainly there's something to be said for that. I personally hadn't branched out because of my prior experiences, a concern of being judged or
Hey,
railroaded.
hey man, we all have like weirdo pasts. I fucked a 36-year-old when I was fucking 14, so no judgment.
Yeah, well, I suppose. Yeah. Yes, if you want another beer before you head out. You
Yeah, for sure.
know, and he takes you out back and he's got a nice patio back there. You can tell he's crafted his own furniture and stuff. Nice fire pit. Um, and with a whisper, the fire pit bursts into flame, and he hands you a beer and sits down and says, "There's something satisfying as well about just relaxing and having a cold drink and some good food after you've worked all afternoon on a project."
He'll say, "Yeah, cheers to that." And he'll like tink his bottle.
And he kind of toasts you and says, "Well, if you like curry, I've got some going in the house."
I've never had any, but that doesn't mean I won't like it.
And he says, "Well, I was raised with a lot of exposure to the Eastern cultures in the Middle East, so I
Hey,
find
can you hold on
myself,
just a second?
you betcha,
Someone's at my door.
damn real life."
Okay, we were talking about curry.
Yeah, and he just tells you that he spent a lot of time in the Middle East. He was actually raised over there.
Oh wow.
His father had been a soldier stationed over there, and so he had a lot of exposure. Um, but that he kind of got raised in that culture and became comfortable with it. Um, his father actually was followed the Muslim faith, and his mother was Hindu of a Hindu faith, even though they were both Caucasian, just being over there for so long.
Yeah, man, that's cool that your parents can just like assimilate so well into that culture.
It certainly took time, but they I think they found many elements of that culture that they could respect,
Yeah,
which is
man.
also how I've tried to carry myself, is to respect other cultures and belief systems, and if they resonate more strongly, then we either have to reconcile them into our belief system or recognize that we were wrong.
Yeah, man. He'll take a long, uh, you know, glug of his beer. He'll be like, "Yeah, some people don't get that, man. Like sometimes you just find out you're wrong, and sometimes you find out that you're right, but you didn't have all the pieces there."
That's that I would agree with, and he brings you a bowl of curry. You know,
All right.
thanks you for, he says it's nice evening. It was nice to have some company. It certainly would be more than happy to see you again and get to know these others, at least if they're as open minded as you've been.
And he will do some, typical non like old time stuff. Like he'll go like, "Whoa, whoo, 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 whoo," and like like fist pump, yeah, and then he'll try the curry. And he likes things a little on the spicy side, so
Yeah, and this
if
certainly has a kick to it. It's a traditional curry, so.
don't know what you heard, but he kind of whoops, goes yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, and fist pumps, and then he tries the curry, and as long as it's not like the super spicy kind, then he's cool. And if it's like, so if it's like regularly hot curry, that's cool. But if it's like the super spicy kind, he probably gets blown out.
No, it's I mean it's an everyday curry, so it's got a little bit of kick, but it's not gasoline either.
Yeah, well, then he's good. Like he's with it.
But then Waylon says he'll work on getting that file put together of some of his other stuff. If you know anyone even who just needs some kind of modern Art Deco type stuff, he's got that. But he'll work on getting some detailed write ups on some of his wonders. Some of his different pieces.
He goes like, "Yeah, right on, man. Like, I'll totally hustle that out there for you. No problem."
He he says he'll get that put together tonight, and then he looks forward to hearing from you guys again.
All right, and then
So,
he'll finish up and like do the dinner thing with them and have some random chit chat and then bail.
all right, perfect. And I'll get you a write up for that helm.
Cool. And then I'll send a text to Armor saying he's down for a meeting.
Excellent. Oh,
And
very good. And I
that's
think that'll wrap up.
yep.
So, thank you all for watching, and there'll be more to follow shortly. This was again a side scene for Lancelot in the Mage venue. We'll see you again soon, I'm sure.